If you're thinking about moving to the Tampa, Florida area, here's some of the pros and cons that you need to consider. Here we go. I'm Sam, and thanks for coming by the Living in Tampa channel, where we make videos about what it's like to live and move to the Tampa, Florida area. If that's something you want to follow along with, don't forget to subscribe. I am a realtor in the state of Florida, so I am constantly talking to people every single day about their move to the Tampa, Florida area. And these are some of the pros and cons we are running into right now in the beginning of 2022. All right, let's start with the cons. Con number one, renting down here is pretty hard. It's really unorganized. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Of course, apartments and big complexes like that are going to be pretty straightforward, but when it comes to renting something from an individual or just a single family house, it's a little more muddy. After being here for a year and a half, I'm convinced that most of these rentals are just going from friend to friend. You know, maybe the landlord's asking the neighbor, hey, do you know anybody that needs a place? And they're filling it that way. Or they're even putting out a for rent sign in front and finding a tenant that way. Because realtors don't make much money on rentals in the Tampa area, realtors are just not very incentivized to keep the system clean and functional. So even when I see a lot of rentals on the MLS, the multiple listing service, I hardly believe them because I call and most of them are already rented out, and realtors don't even care that they've left it on there for weeks at a time because there's no penalty involved. There's no accountability on the rental side of that for realtors. On top of this lack of organization, renting is also complicated because you're sometimes competing with vacationers and with snowbirds. Snowbirds are people that, come down here just for the winter. Overall, it's hard to find a rental if you're not here in person. If you do happen to move during the summer, Florida summer, when it's really hot down here, getting a short-term rental is quite a bit easier if that's like an Airbnb or VRBO where you can rent for a few months at a time. Those are very reasonably priced whenever it's hot down here. So that's like the off season for Florida, and people aren't vacationing down here as much. All right, con number two, the schools in general aren't that great. And you probably saw one of my previous videos about the best schools in the area. And outside of those schools, there aren't that many that are great. On top of this, another thing that makes this a little complicated is if you do want to live in a cool area like downtown Dunedin or downtown St. Petersburg or downtown Tampa, there aren't great schools close to there. There's a lot more pressure to have good schools out in the suburbs, like in Wesley Chapel and Lutz, and even out into the Brandon area. There's quite a bit more pressure to have good schools. And in some of these areas where the schools are better, housing is super, super competitive. It's one of the factors that makes a house really competitive. If it's in a good school district, if it's move-in ready, and if it has a pool. If it has those three factors, it's gonna be really, really competitive. And con number three for moving to the Tampa, Florida area, pay has not come up with housing prices. So obviously houses have gotten more and more expensive, rents have gotten more and more expensive in the Tampa area, and salaries have not come up as fast. A lot of the people that are moving here are keeping remote jobs from bigger markets and wanting to live closer to the water, maybe even lower their cost of living by living here with their other job. Eventually, this will catch up some, but it's pretty far behind right now. You see a lot of commentary online and YouTube comments or on other forums and even on Facebook that pay is really low in the Tampa area. And a lot of those jobs are entry-level jobs that people are talking about. Tampa has plenty of those jobs, but not as many of the higher paying jobs. I've seen articles about how tech jobs are booming in this area, and when you go from 1,000 tech jobs to 2,000 tech jobs, that is a big percentage increase, but it's still not that many jobs for the overall metro area. And I'm positive the number is quite a bit higher than that, but when you look at a percentage increase instead of a total impact on the population, the numbers are saying something completely different. All right, let's get into some of the pros. Pro number one, if you're thinking about moving here, keep in mind other people are moving here too, and maybe for the same reasons as you. They want to be away from mandates. Maybe they've always dreamed of living in Florida, and so all that's going on has just caused them to move that earlier. There's all kinds of reasons that people are moving or buying other houses in this area. My wife had a baby about a month ago, and a little bit before that she had a baby shower. And we had a lot of family at the baby shower. My wife actually grew up in the area, and she had 3 new friends there as well. This stood out to me because these were all friends that she's met since we moved here a year and a half ago. One of those friends we met through this YouTube channel, another one she randomly met at a park and our kids played together, and another one she met at a homeschool group, which was like a Facebook meetup group kind of thing. And they've become friends. And 3 of these friends have become close enough to be invited to a baby shower, which I didn't even want to be invited to the baby shower. But it stood out to me because people are trying to build community. People are trying to make friends when they move down here. It's not a very isolated environment right now when so many other states are pretty isolated. So I want you to be excited about that if you are moving here, that you will find those people as well. All right, pro number 2, property appreciation. My house has increased over 20% since we bought it a little over a year ago. And my next video will be about ways to use that appreciation to your advantage. But that is just for living in my house, paying the same mortgage every single month. It hasn't increased like it would if I was renting somewhere. Just living there, the value has increased almost $100,000. And property is appreciating like this in a lot of places in the US, and inflation is really high as well, which does impact that a lot. But there are ways that I can use this money in my house that I wouldn't be able to if I lived in some other places that aren't appreciating as quickly. All right, and pro number 3, there are a lot of highly skilled employees and high skill employers moving to this area. And maybe a lot of these people are trying to keep remote jobs for now, but there are people moving businesses here with hopes that the high skill employee base will continue to grow in this area. I was actually just on the phone this morning with someone that runs a business with these kind of outlooks. He's thinking the labor market in Tampa, St. Petersburg area is going to continue to get better and better, and they're excited to bring an exciting company to the area. But it's still early in all of this. There are still growing pains in this, but it's nice to be early. It's better to be early than to be late. Again, we are realtors here in the Tampa area, so if you do need help, we would love a chance to help you. Our phone number and email are right there on the screen and in the description down below. Thanks for coming by.